going to be trying to do lives this whole week, and I'm going to be talking about tonight social capital, and going to try to talk about on all my lives about the 8 forms of capital according to permaculture principles. Um, but some of that's going to get interrupted. I'm going to have a few nights that I'm going to have different subjects. Probably going to have another live with Nevermore Farms this week on Thursday. Still got to make sure that that's confirmed. And if that happens, we'll skip one, which it is 8 forms of capital. So there's I'm not going to be able to get it done in a week. So it's not like I can do it on a week thing. So probably like Thursday, Sunday, possibly Wednesday, maybe different topic videos. But until we get through the 8 forms of capital, I'm not going to be making really any other videos besides that, because I think it's really important as homesteaders to understand the different forms of capital in the permaculture sense. So if you've never heard of permaculture, it is a permanent culture. The term was coined by Bill Mollison and David Holmgren, and they came up with like permanent agriculture, but it's kind of morphed into permanent culture because it's not just about the culture of fields, it's about the culture of many things. So he went around to different native tribes and based this design science on the principles that those tribes had. So if you're not familiar with permaculture, there's a little bit of an intro to that, but there are what are considered 8 forms of capital according to permaculture principles. And tonight we're going to be talking about social capital. Now you might be slightly confused as to why I put a couch in the thumbnail. And the reason is because that really nice couch was given to us, and it was because of social capital. Now, social capital is not a formula to get free couches or to get free stuff, but the way that we came by that was actually through some social capital. So what is social capital? It's relationships, networks, and community connections. So what would be some of the reasons that it would be important for a homesteader to have social capital? Well, for one, I think a lot of people have the idea that, hey, I'm going to go out and I'm going to homestead and I'm going to do everything myself. And you're not going to do everything yourself. It takes a community. Even if you read Little House on the Prairie, the Laura Ingalls books, they did not do everything on their own. They were very, let's hear. Hola, digo hello. No, de hecho, sí hablo español también. If you've got social capital, you've got a better chance of surviving in homesteading. So with the Laurel Ingalls books, I think a lot of people are kind of have that illusion that, oh yeah, I'm just going to do everything by myself. But it's not really like that. I think that she came out and told later after writing those books that, there was a lot of stuff that she left out that had to do with the community. And people just are not going to be able to survive without a community. Oh, well, gracias por suscribirse. Let's hear. That's Angel Tío, me imagino. So yeah, thanks for everybody coming in and watching. We're just talking about social capital right now. There'll be people watching this after. I'm using this as a way to make videos, just doing lives and hopefully finding new subscribers for the channel. But if you like homesteading, farming, anything like that, yeah, go ahead and subscribe. So, yeah, back to social capital. It's extremely important because there's a lot of things that you really need community for to be able to really be successful homesteading, especially if you want to try to depend less on like mainstream systems. So let's talk about just relationships. Some of the easiest relationships to build are with the people that live in your home, with your family. I've mentioned this on the channel before. If you've got a spouse or children and they're not really into the homesteading thing, anything that they can find that they like, that they want to do, let them have it, because just because you're not interested in it doesn't mean that it's not going to help them be more interested in what you are. For example, my wife was never really into the whole homesteading type stuff. Her mother is far more into that stuff. They raise chickens, and she'd slaughter chickens and cook them. And my wife, I remember when she was a little girl, called it fake chicken and real chicken. She'd call the store chicken from the store real chicken. She didn't want to eat the ones that were raised out in the backyard. But like with my wife, she has really got into canning and stuff like that. And she, started getting into that. And I said, okay, I'm going to let that be her thing, and I'm going to support it. And I'm going to, want her to take interest in that and other things. Along with my daughters, I want them to be involved in homesteading and to help out. So anything that you can do to help your family be more involved. And you got to think about being really, with social capital, coming with a servant's heart of what can you do to build the social capital, not what can you get from others, because that's the wrong attitude to go in and be like, hey, I'm going to do this because I want to be able to have people do stuff for me and to get free stuff and whatever it is. So starting within your own four walls of just making sure that you're being supportive of your family and the endeavors that they want to do, and to, compromise a little bit as far as what you're going to do and what your vision is. The next people out from those relationships, I would say, that are the most important are your neighbors. So they're going to be the people that live around you. What are things that you can do to get your neighbors on board with homesteading? For example, I know if you're living in one of the HOA, I call them HOA hells, because it's just somebody wants more and more rules and more people, controlling what they do. You live in an HOA. But let's say you live in a place like that, or you live in even if you live out in the country and you've got roosters that crow and hens that cluck and everything, not everybody's into that. But especially with egg prices right now, if you could give your neighbors some eggs, would that not help them tolerate what you're doing a little bit more? So, just being a good neighbor, being respectful, that really helps on building relationships. Networks, networks are just slightly different from your like social and relationships like friends and family. Networks are really people that you're building that have maybe different commodities than you do, or that have different skills. That's what I consider more of a network. So, you get people in your network. You might get somebody who's a good mechanic, or you might get somebody who is good at sewing. There's a lot of different skills that you can get people in your network with, those different skills, so that you can complement each other. But you've got to come from the point of, hey, what do I have to bring to the table to really build up that social capital? And community connections. Your community, that can be a very small thing. It can be more of just your relationships with your neighbors and your small networks. But the community can also be the broader area. Say it's a town, a county. And making those connections are going to give you more wealth, in the sense that you're going to have more access to things that other people may not have access to. So it's all about building that. So that's what social capital is really about. It's about building the connections with people and having that as a form of wealth. And, the permaculture principles are, they call them the 8 forms of capital, but it really could be called the 8 forms of wealth. Because when you think about wealth, it's just different from monetary riches. Because if I have, say I have a wood stove, that would be considered being wealthy. Or if you have gas, any kind of heat. having central heat is a form of wealth. It is something that makes your life better. Having a vehicle that can get you around, even though that does have all these things can have monetary values, it's also considered a form of wealth. And it's more of like, hey, what's going to make my life better? But let's see. If we've got about 10 minutes, that's normally how long I keep my videos. But since we're in the live, we have a couple of people in here. Some of these comments I'm not going to read, but we've got Angel down here. Okay, so that's Angel. I'll respond to him, and then I'm probably going to jump off here because we've only got 2 in here. Sí, yo hablo español, pero mi canal es principalmente en inglés. Entonces, todo en inglés para que la gente entiende. So he's just saying he speaks a little bit of English, but hey, man, watch my videos. You can put on subtitles in Spanish. It'll help me out to see or to have the views, and you can just put subtitles down there, and it might help. Watch videos in English. That's how my wife learned a lot of English. So good luck with that, man. Como que buena suerte. Ahí mi esposa aprendió el inglés así viendo los videos en inglés, pero con subtítulos en español. Te puede ayudar. So great, guys. This is our first live on the 8 forms of capital, and we're going to continue with that. I'm looking at tomorrow doing the next one, which will be material capital. And we'll have after that financial capital. But there's a chance that Wednesday I might have a different topic, and I will be going live. We'll just see how things play out. It could be late Wednesday, or I could be doing a live early. We'll see how things play out. But I appreciate everybody who dropped into the live to check us out. If you're watching this video after the live and you enjoyed it and found any value in it, please leave a like. If you've got any questions or comments, you can drop those down below. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, go ahead and do so. I drop a video like this mostly every day. I appreciate all y'all watching, and we'll see you in the next one.